We're now going to take a look at question 2 of the A-level Further Statistics paper from June 2022. In the question, it says the discrete random variable x has a probability distribution with x taking the values of -5, -1, 0, 5, and b. And we're given that b is a constant greater than 5. In part A, we're asked to find the expectation of x in terms of b. So that's a very straightforward question. And then the question goes on to ask us to find the value of b, and then asking us in part C to find the probability of x squared less than 2 minus 3x. Let's do this question together. Part A is very straightforward. We should all know the formula for the expectation of x, which is the sum of x times the corresponding probability. So expressing that in terms of b, that's -5 times 0.3 plus -1 times 0.25 plus 0 times 0.1 plus 5 times 0.15 plus 0.2 times b. Simplifying that, we get -1 plus 0.2b, and that's our answer to part A. Let's take a look at part B. Part B has given us the variance of x, which is 34.26. We should all remember the formula for the variance of x, but also another expression for it. The variance of x can be expressed in this way. The expectation of x squared minus the square of the expectation of x. And this always is a positive value. So now we've got the expectation of x in terms of b. We now want to work out the expectation of x squared. Let's put that in the table. So x squared in the table, so -5 squared is 25, 1 squared is 1, and so on. So now we're able to work out the expectation of x squared, which is the sum of x squared multiplied by, okay? And this gives us 25 times 0.3 plus 1 times 0.25 plus 0 times 0.1 plus 25 times 0.15 plus 0.2 times b squared. Simplifying this, we get 11.5 plus 0.2b squared. So that's the expectation of x squared. We've been told in the question that the variance of x equals 34.26. Therefore, expectation of x squared minus the square of the expectation of x equals 34.26. Substituting what we know about the expectation of x squared and also the square of the expectation of x. So that goes there, that goes there. 11.5 plus 0.2b squared minus -1 plus 0.2b all squared, etc., etc. And this is just algebraic manipulation. This gives us 0.2b, collecting like terms, moving the constant to the right-hand side, expanding the square, 1 minus 0.4b plus 0.04b squared, all in the brackets, and 34.26 minus 11.5 is 22.76, and this leaves us a quadratic equation to solve. Plus 4b minus 23.76 equals 0. Therefore, b is that's minus b minus 0.4 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ab. Okay, just about enough space there, all over 2a. So working that out, b is either 11 or minus 13.5, but b is greater than 5, therefore b equals 11. b greater than 5 is given in the question. So that's our answer to part B. Now let's move on to part C. We know that B equals 11, so that's quite useful. We've now been asked for the probability that x squared is less than 2 minus 3x. The helpful thing is that x takes discrete values. Therefore, it shouldn't be hard for us to work out this probability. Rearranging this term, we get x squared plus 3x minus 2 less than 0. So what we need to be doing from the table is simply to work out what values of x would allow us to get this expression, x squared plus 3x minus 2, to be less than 0. And we want to know the sum of all these probabilities of x. Why don't we work that out? When x is minus 5, x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 8. When x is minus 1, the same thing is minus 4. When x is 0, of course, this is just minus 2. When x is 5, x squared plus 3x minus 2 is 25 plus 15 minus 2, so that's 38. When x is 11, so that's the final value that x can take because we know that b is 11. That's 11 squared, 132 plus 33 minus 2, so that's 152. Now, looking at all these possible values of x squared plus 3x minus 2, the first one is greater than 0. The second one, when x is minus 1, the expression is minus 4, so that's less than 0. Minus 2 is less than 0. That's greater than 0, greater than 0. And therefore, we know that the probability of x squared plus 3x minus 2 to be less than 0 is basically, it happens when x equals minus 1 or when x equals 0. What's the probability of x equals minus 1? 0.25. What's the probability of x equals 0? 0.1. So the required probability is 0.35.